Prepping is expensive, and it doesn't matter what your budget is, it's really wise to buy smart. And so we're going to talk about a few things about prepping, buying the right items. Really there's so many things that you're trying to cover, being more self-reliant, either for your family, for food, for defense, just for plain out survival. And so we're going to look at some ways that you can prep and some ideas to get past all the marketing and everything else that goes on. Listen, I'm the biggest gear snob ever. I love gear, and if you followed my channel, you know that. But I also am a realist, and I know that not only I need to, but many of you are working from a really low budget and you need some help. And so we're just going to talk about a few things to be able to get you prepped and prepared without breaking the bank. Of course, one of the big things like this military surplus Alice pack. These are fairly inexpensive. They have an external frame. A lot of them are used pretty well, but if you find the right one, this is a great item to start with for your bug out bag. And it's, of course, military tested, and to be approved by the military is a lot in itself. And so finding items like this, for a knife, a good Glock field knife, fairly inexpensive, around the $30, $35 mark. And yet this is an excellent knife. It's tough as nails, and really it works just as well as any high dollar knife. So we're going to look at a bunch of different aspects on where to buy and how to buy and some things that you can do yourself. Now, one of the best places to start is with surplus items, military surplus. U.S. military is high quality, and you can find canteens with different size canteens, your 2-quart. You can find mag pouches that are MOLLE compatible. Even the old pistol belts. You may not have the money to spend for state-of-the-art brand new equipment, but you can really get yourself set up with some of the Y-harness gear, magazine pouches, some of the old assault vests, the old Nomax gloves with good dexterity and keep your hands warm, and also good wool socks, when you go into a surplus place. Of course, one of the big items is an Alice pack, and I talked about that right at the beginning of the video. But this is one of the best bags for your money. I mean, for under $50, you can get a really strong, sturdy pack, and these have been proven for years. They were part of the military for a long time, and there's a lot of good videos on there. I have one about this pack specifically, and this shelf attachment at the bottom, where you can actually take the pack off and use this as a frame to carry ammunition, water, or whatever for heavier loads. And also, you don't want to forget about the old USGI mags. And if you have an AR-15, this is a great way to get these mags. Yeah, the polymer mags are great, but you can buy these old mags for about $7 a piece, and you can really load up. Also, some of the newer surplus stuff like these 3 mag pouches for 30-round magazines, MOLLE compatible. Even if you have a plate carrier, you can put these on. And here I have a little small lightweight vest that I have some on. Now, buying old military surplus tins is a great way to preserve, especially ammo. And you can put ammo in here. They're sealed, they're tough, they're made of steel, and you can get the 30 caliber or 50, and there's a lot of other variations. A lot of times at gun shows or places or old Army surplus places, you can find these tins. And again, it's a great way not only to store ammo, but it also is waterproof. So you can seal up goods and items in here and help protect them. I know I have a car kit, emergency car kit, that I have in one of a 50 caliber tins. And it just goes in the trunk or in my truck underneath the back seat. And I have all the gear I need in here for a survival situation. I don't have to worry about it getting messed up because these tins are almost indestructible. Finding a good pair of boots can be very expensive. And when you buy military surplus, you know that they've been through the test. So finding a good pair of military surplus boots, you're getting a lot for your money. You may pay $30, $35, $40 for these boots, but you try to replace those at one of the outlet stores or one of the tactical shops, and you'll pay $135 to $200. And so this is just a great way to be able to get tried and true tested gear for very reasonable. And this stuff, if you tried to buy this new manufacturer, would be very expensive. And so buying it used and buying it surplus is a great way to go. But some of the best buys are coming from other countries, military surplus. And we have a lot of different items here. We have a Fleckturn. This is German. This is actually a rain suit, and it is excellent. It comes with a parka. And I've actually got a set of military surplus pants and a parka in this same pattern. Also different type backpacks, little pouches and packs, hats, especially winter hats. If you're looking for cold weather, this is an excellent hat. And then of course for your firearms, we have some G3 mags here and I have a set me that they fit those. These are about $3 a piece. You can get the pouches with them. Also, if you have a Mosin Nagant, which I do, they have the pouches and you can put your ammo in here. Has belt loops. And then here I have some raindrop pattern pouches, and I have some 7.62 by 3.9 ammunition in here for my AK and my SKS. So there's just so many different ways to go. Whether you go with the U.S. military or with other countries, their military surplus, it comes into the country for pennies on the dollar. Finding this online, which you can do. Also going to flea markets and yard sales, you can find this stuff really inexpensive. Going to yard sales is a great way to find good gear. I mean, sometimes you can find headlamps, sleeping bags, tents, which I have all of those that I've found at yard sales. Here's a parka, and this was like $1/4. And it's just a rain parka. I can put this in my pack. Even some Bear pepper spray. Old vintage binoculars. These have excellent glass with them. They're Bell & Howells. In fact, I got 2 of them really inexpensively for about $10 a piece. And even coffee makers. And this is a little percolator, and you can put your coffee in, put it on the fire directly, or you can put it on a little burner and you can have coffee in the morning. But for years, I've gone to yard sales and found a lot of great gear, and you know, it's really inexpensive. Also flea markets. I've bought a lot of different items going to flea markets, just finding items that really nobody else is looking for, and a lot of times people are selling them very reasonably. And the thrift stores, also a great place. In fact, a lot of times I can find really good shirts, sweaters, jackets, and pants, especially pants. You know, finding cargo pants like this, you can get them at a lot of thrift stores for $3. And they're tough and rugged. They were just turned in because somebody wanted something different. And I've had these for about 3 years, and I use the fire out of them. And they're just excellent pants. Now, finding old tools like this at a garage sale or an estate sale is a great way to get tools you need to get work done. Shovel, post hole diggers, axes, all kind of different items. In fact, this is just a few of the ones that I found recently at an old estate sale. And these people just want to get rid of this stuff. They have it themselves, and you know, you want to make sure that it's decent quality, but you can replace the handles and clean up the metal, and you know, these things will go for years. Now, not only larger tools, yard tools, you can find other type things like this machete. It's a sugarcane machete. This Craftsman axe, and it's full metal all the way down. An old Coleman skinning knife with a leather sheath. But also military surplus. Again, U.S. military, a nice machete, and good military surplus shovels. These are excellent to keep in your car. In fact, I just talked about this on the winter survival gear kit, and these just break down. They're high quality. They're excellent items to have. And really, you're not going to be able to get a shovel of this size that's so compact for this kind of money. Now, flashlights are important in your survival pack. In fact, the light is your #1 security tool. And so here we have some really nice big Maglite flashlights with the LED upgrades. And this can not only be used as a good light, of course you can use smaller ones, but with this can also be used as a weapon. It's a defensive weapon. And a lot of law enforcement for years used to carry these, and they would hold them like this and be able to bring them down as a baton. And a small little XL50, this is by Maglite, and so are these other two. These are excellent flashlights, but they don't break the bank. They're pretty reasonable. And so good quality aluminum American-made flashlights, I would consider to buy these new, and but this would be a great buy. I mean, I'm a big flashlight snob, and I like really high-dollar flashlights. And I carry nice flashlights, just like this Olight S10 baton. And if you're looking for really high-dollar flashlights, I mean, this is a great way to go. But they're expensive, and the performance is there. But these flashlights right here, especially if you're on a budget, will serve you well. And this is an old military angled flashlight. It's excellent. They've used these for years. It's not a huge amount of lumen output, but it does give you light. Now, another thing you can do is to do it yourself. And that's one thing that I really like. It gets you really knowledgeable about what you're doing. Just like one of these little survival kits that I put together. It's in a tin, it's wrapped up, all the contents are inside, and I have a list of everything that's in this tin. And so this is a great way to be able to make up your own survival kit to suit you, and yet you really save a lot of money. Having a good bit of paracord to be able to make lanyards and handles and all kind of different things. This is also important, you know, your bracelets, being able to braid. having a paracord is imperative. Also, fire starting. You can make your own. Here's dryer lint. Just save your dryer lint, stuff it in a toilet paper roll. It really makes a great fire tender. Of course, these cotton balls with Vaseline on them, just an excellent fire tender. In fact, one of my favorite fire tenders. Sometimes you can find some of this commercial stuff and it's pretty expensive, but this stuff works great, and you can even add Vaseline to the dryer lint. But there are a ton of different projects you can make. The penny beer can stove, which I've done a video on it. In fact, I didn't have those with me to show in this video, but I'll have the link annotated right here for you to look at the video on how to make it. And you know, there are just so many things that you can make. You know, finding pallets like this crate or these pallets here, this is a great way to have a source of wood, and a lot of places just want you to get rid of it. In fact, my brother-in-law was getting rid of these pallets. They paid him to haul them off, and so we use some of them for different projects around the house. And here's a project right here that we did using just pallets and a few 2x4s, is this chicken coop. And then also I'm getting ready to build a second coop right here, and that really cuts down on the price to put this together. Here's another example of being able to find pallets, and we got a whole lot of these pallets, just flat, good wood, and this is going to go to building a little outbuilding that we're working on. Having your water preps together, this is a great project to do. These barrels are fairly inexpensive. We get them from the Tropicana plant locally. They run about $8 a piece. Run these through a water spout, and you can hook up a regular faucet at the bottom. We watered our garden last year using this water, and it's fresh and wholesome. If I'm doing any kind of cement work, I can use this water. It's good to drink once you filter it. I mean, there are just so many things, and this is a fresh water system. It's easy to do. In fact, I'll have the video annotated right here for you to click on how to do this. But it's just a great way to ensure that you have water. Even something is a pistol case. And here I have an old Black & Decker tool case, and I've just lined it with the eggshell foam, and I can put firearms in here, close it up, and protect it, and it didn't cost me anything. And these tools, a lot of times I have them set aside in one of my toolboxes, and so this just gives you something to use, and it doesn't really cost you anything. Also, finding items on eBay, and you know, you can really get some good prices if you really look. Here is a little bench block for doing gunsmithing work by Wheeler, and I have an AR receiver block. I can buy these tools pretty reasonably. A lot of times it's free shipping. Here's SOS survival food. This is life raft food, and you can usually get this pretty reasonable. And one of the things I specifically look for are Trigicon reflex sights. And you know, usually these run between the $400 and $500 range. And on eBay you can find these for around $300 and less. So you get a good high quality sight for a lot less money. Yeah, you're still paying $300, but you're paying $300 with the mount for a $400 sight without the mount. And so there are ways like that as well to be able to buy high quality items for a reasonable price. And of course, another good thing about eBay is that you can sell on eBay. And being able to buy and sell and get rid of things that you don't need, that you just want to get rid of, and you can put them on eBay and then turn around and use that money for your preps. Also, of course, you can have yard sales, or you can go to the flea market and be able to raise money. So there are ways also to raise money and not just spend money to get the preps you need. You know, buying canned goods when they're on sale, that's a great way to go. And here we have a couple of bags that my wife just picked up. And you know, you can look at the paper, and a lot of times there are things that are just easy to stock up on. Also, of course, the cannery is a great source to be able to put food back very inexpensively if you have a Mormon cannery in your area that will allow you to buy. Another thing is MREs, and we don't store a lot of MREs, but we do have a few cases, and we actually buy these from the National Guard units when they rotate these out. We get them by the pallet load, and there's a big group of us. So group buys are also important, especially with food items, and of course with ammunition. Guys, prep wise, prep smart, but the most important thing is to be ready for you and your family. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. One of the things that I bought recently, I bought a few of these, and one of the things that I bought recently was one of the Trigicon. And one of the things I've done is, in fact, I just talked about one of these in my winter gear. In fact, shovel, hose pole diggers, shovel, post hole diggers. Yard sales are whether you go with, this is a great wetsuit.